This is International Radio Serbia. As usual, we begin our broadcast with the news. The Serbian Prime Minister Ivo Sanader stated that the damage caused by the drought in Serbia is valued at more than €1 billion, and that the figure is likely to reach €1.5 billion. At an extraordinary session of Serbia's emergency situation headquarters, that stated that the value of damage is far greater than that of the funds needed to be invested in irrigation. Head of Serbia's emergency situation headquarters, Serbia managed stated that the damage caused by wildfires in July and August is valued at some €40 million, and it is estimated that the damage caused from the beginning of the year amounts to €50 million. More after news. The director of the Serbian Government Office for Kosovo and Metohija, Alexander Vulin, stated in prison that as the only Serb child in the town, 60-year-old Milica Đorđević represents a symbol of all the Serbs in Kosovo and Metohija. Milica is the symbol of the nation and the nation's decision not to leave or be wiped out. Vulin told reporters after visiting Milica in her school located in St. George Cathedral in Prizren. He underlined that before the international community decides to reduce the number of their troops in Kosovo, they should explain this girl why she is the only Serb child in prison. Serbian Minister of Trade and Telecommunications, Rasim Ljajić, stated that the Kosovo Assembly resolution, which demands that the country code for Serbia 381 be replaced by the International Code of Albania 355, represents the gross violation of the international agreements. Ljajić told the Veteran News Agency that he sent a protest note to Secretary General of the International Telecommunications Union, Amadou Touré, asking the organization to prevent implementation of the resolution. It would practically mean that all international traffic from Kosovo would go through Albania, which would introduce the principle of ex-territorial use of international numbers, Ljajić pointed. He emphasized that such unilateral moves point to lack of readiness of the provisional Kosovo authorities and that complex relations between Belgrade and Pristina to be resolved in negotiations and dialogue. General Volker Halbauer took over the position of KFOR commander from his countryman Erhard Zed. The handover ceremony was held in KFOR Command Center in Pristina and headed by the commander of the NATO Joint Forces in Naples, U.S. Admiral Bruce Kringan, who stated that international peace mission in Kosovo will continue to contribute to safe environment and freedom of movement for all. Halbauer is the sixth German general to hold the position of KFOR head since the international forces deployment in June 1999. Until now, the new KFOR commander has held the position of the German Army Chief of Staff. A Chicago-based court has accepted a lawsuit filed against the U.S. company Military Professional Resources, Inc. by U.S.-based organizations Genocide Victims of Krajina and Serb Krajina Council, Slobodna Dalmatia Daily Rights. Serbs in the United States are accusing the MPRI of involvement in a genocide and expulsion of 200,000 Serbs from Krajina, claiming that the agency instructed the Croatian army in Operation Storm and took part in it. The court has also given a contract concluded between the MPRI and Croatia on training of Croatian officers and soldiers. Judge Ruben Castillo of the Chicago court declared the state of Illinois in charge of the trial as the MPRI has its offices and businesses in this state, and Serbs from Croatia who filed the lawsuit live in Chicago, Milwaukee, Rockford, and other locations. According to the Daily, Serbic police requested $10 billion or $25,000 for each of the 200,000 expelled Serbs, claiming that the company instructed Croatian soldiers in Operation Storm and thus became equally responsible for the occupancy, persecution, and killings in the territory of the then Republic of Serbia Krajina. Amendments to the law of the National Bank of Serbia have no elements that might jeopardize the autonomy of this institution, but she is ready to review all arguments that the IMF has in this respect, stated Jorgovanka Tabakovic, governor of the National Bank of Serbia. She told the press conference that she expects Serbia to reach an arrangement with the IMF this year, as it is necessary because of the credit rating and the country's risk premium, meaning that the further loans are absolutely necessary. More after the news. Chief of the Serbian Army General Staff, Lieutenant General Ljubiša Bikolić, stated the Serbian Army is interested in discussing the Austrian Armed Forces participation in the EU security structures. After talks, the Chief of General Staff of the Austrian Armed Forces, General Admiral Antonov, in Belgrade, Bikolić said that during Antonov's 3-day visit to Serbia, they will also discuss military medical cooperation and the cooperation between military industries of the two countries. But Serbian tennis player Novak Djokovic has reached the US Open semifinals after beating Juan Martín del Potro of Argentina 3-0. Djokovic will be playing against Alex Ferreira of Spain, who defeated Janko Victorovich of Serbia 3-2. And with this, we end the news for today. This is the International Radio of Serbia. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. This is the International Radio of Serbia. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. This is the International Radio of Serbia. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. The damage caused by wildfires in 2012 is valued at some 50 million euros, which is much more than what needs to be invested in prevention, stating head of Serbia's Emergency Situations Headquarters, Predrag Marić. Presenting his report at an extraordinary session of Serbia's Emergency Situations Headquarters, Marić specified that the damage caused by wildfires in July and August is valued at 30 million euros. President Marić has more. About 20,000 hectares have been burnt in this year's wildfires. In July and August only, the fire caused some 11,000 hectares, Marić said, owing that the state must work more seriously on building capacities to handle emergency situations. He pointed out that emotions and bravery are not enough when battling risks that will be much bigger in the coming years, and it is necessary to invest in prevention, not just in damage claims. At the session, chaired by Commander of the Republican Emergency Situation Headquarters and Serbian Prime Minister Ivica Dačić, Marić stated that in 2012, 16 people were killed and another 79 injured in fires in Serbia, while another 2 people were killed in wildfires in July and August. He warned that due to climate change, the number of wildfires grows each year, adding that there were 8 major wildfires in 2007, 14 in 2011, and 20 in 2012. Reminding that out of the total number of 3,000 firefighters in Serbia, some 700 took part in the actions on a daily basis. Marić pointed out that it is necessary to provide better equipment for firefighters and hire at least another 500 men in 2013, which will cost some 5 million euros annually, in addition to 3 million euros that should be spent on equipment needed every 3 years. According to Marić, the problem is the fact that Serbia has only 2 firefighting helicopters of the Interior Ministry, 3 helicopters of the Army, and 3 planes of the Agricultural Aviation, which can be used in firefighting actions, while several helicopters can be modified and used for this purpose. Marić also warned that Serbia does not have a sufficient number of fire escape roads and pathways, especially in privately owned forests, and he underlined that the plan has to be drafted for the construction of such roads at a deadline for implementation. In July already, the mid-year inflation rate already exceeded the projections, and it is expected to grow further by the end of the year, primarily due to increases in food prices, oil in the world market, and controlled prices, said the governor of the National Bank of Serbia, Jorgovanka Tabaković. According to her, the tightening of monetary policy in the future will depend on the effects of fiscal consolidation, trends in the international environment, and containment of inflationary expectations. Biljana Branić has more. In July, the inflation rate reached 6.1%, and its growth was largely influenced by the growth of prices of food products. less regulated prices, as well as developments in the international environment. That trend will continue by the end of the year, when inflation will be about 10%, while the situation is expected to become steady in mid-2013, Tabakovic says. There was a 1.1% decline in industrial production and a particularly worrying 5.4% drop in retail trade turnover, which means that there is a drop in purchasing power. After the economic downturn in the first 9 months, the growth of the GDP in 2012 is expected to be 0.5%. Tabakovic also gave an optimistic assessment that the growth of the GDP in 2013 will be 2.5%, as she sees the reason for this positive attitude in the announcement of increased production in the automotive industry and agriculture, as well as in increased exports. The governor pointed out that the foreign exchange reserves amounting to 9.9 billion euros are at a satisfactory level, but it was not good that 1.3 billion euros was from the start of the year to relieve excessive exchange rate fluctuations. She pointed out that the weakening of the national currency in the past period was influenced by the high budget deficit, increased spending of funds by the state, freezing of the arrangements with the IMF, and the lower inflow of foreign investments. Central bank measures relating to reserve requirements have contributed to the stabilization of the dinar exchange rate, while in the future more attention will be paid to stimulation of commercial banks to increase their lending to the real sector and citizens, announced Tabakovic. The governor expects that the new deal should be reached with the IMF by the end of the year, rejecting allegations that the obstacle could be the new act on the National Bank of Serbia, because, as she said, there is nothing controversial about it. Also, the central bank is committed to better cooperation with the auditors and the tightening of criteria for the control of banks in order to increase citizens' confidence in the banking sector, which is stable, as she says. The selection of candidates for the positions of Vice Governor of the National Bank of Serbia and the Director of the Head Office for Monitoring will be completed after the adoption of the Statute of the Central Bank, which would provide better operations of this institution. Coming up next is another edition of our regular feature, Music Heritage, presented by Jermaine Filipovic. Today's Music Heritage is dedicated to the Orchestra of the Academic Culture and Arts Association, Branko Kosmanovic of Belgrade. We will begin our story by listening to melodies from Branja from the album Silk Thread, the orchestra led by artistic director Dusan Šaponja, recorded for Radio Television Belgrade in 1979. of folk dances at the Academic Culture and Art Association, Branko Kosmanovic, was founded in Belgrade in 1945 as part of cultural and artistic activities of Belgrade University students. The Big Folk Music Orchestra was established in 1952 under the leadership of the violinist Vlastimir Jelic. An independent folk music section was formed in 1957. Since then, this orchestra and the local story have won a number of awards at numerous competitions in the country and abroad, the most valuable being the gold medal won at the World Youth and Student Festival held in Moscow in 1957. We continue our feature, Music Heritage, with another number from this album. It is a song entitled "O Maiden, My Sweetheart," performed by Duško Ljubičić and the orchestra Branko Kosmanovic. Apart from great achievements in spreading our culture and art throughout the globe, the orchestra has grown to be a unique group that successfully accomplishes another significant task. It has influenced a large number of young people who, on leaving the association, occupy important positions in all spheres of life. Thus, the orchestra includes members who are today university professors, professional musicians, physicians, mathematicians, ministers in the Serbian government, engineers and translators, including your today's presenter, who had the privilege to perform as a violinist with this remarkable orchestra. We shall wind up today's edition of Music Heritage with a medley of folk tunes.
Dear listeners, you were listening to the English Polish broadcast of the International Radio Serbia. You can hear our program on the frequencies that are 6,100 and 9,635 kHz in Europe, while in Northern America you can hear us on 9,685 kHz. If you would like to find more about our radio and the events we are covering, you can log into our website www.voiceofserbia.org. In case of you wishing to contact us, you can do it so by contacting us through email radiou@fbb.rs or our regular mailing address, Kironda 2, 11,100, all 3 Belgrade.
Poštovani slušalci, u delu emisije posvećen zaštiti životne sredine čućete nešto više o alternativnim izvorima energije. Današnja tema emisije posvećena je električnoj energiji ili energiji vetra. Da znamo koliko su skupe cene energenata, korišćenje alternativnih izvora energije postoji u našoj stvarnosti. Zato narednih pola sata ostanete sa nama da bi čuli priču kako je razlog da Srbija uskoro počne da koristi ovaj vid energije.